right? So it's not that hard, but getting unstuck, most people try and jump from stuck to unstoppable in one fell swoop, and they wonder why
Mm-hmm.
they wonder why they give up. They wonder why they feel like miserable failures. The step that they miss is to get unstuck first. And getting unstuck is far more simple than people give it credit to. We don't need to go and do these elaborate daily routines where we have to get up at 3 o'clock and ruck with a 10K pack on our back and do affirmations and ice baths and saunas and handstand push-ups and all of these outrageous things. And I think the social media has really perpetuated this idea that you have to have these complex routines in order to be successful. And I call BS on that. Absolute BS.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Earhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So on today's episode, we have Loz, and I can already tell she is an active person. She is currently on a treadmill, and I think that's just awesome. So, Loz, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, thanks for the great intro, Nick. So my name's Loz. I am a self-proclaimed helpaholic, infomaniac, addicted to lots of information, but I call myself a mojo mentor. So I work as an interdisciplinary health, fitness, and nutrition coach. And my goal is to help really busy, time-poor people learn how to prioritize themselves with simplicity.
That's amazing. And, a lot of us entrepreneurs, the reason we start is because we had to overcome something ourselves. So, what was that thing for you that you had to get through, and what kind of got you on this path?
Wow. I mean, that's a huge question, and an important one, I think. And I think that as you said, what pulls us along this path of entrepreneurship is normally something that's happened in our past. So for me, I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur, very solutions orientated. I actually started my first business when I was 15 years old.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I just sold a business a month ago after 18 years of running a mobility and disability equipment business in my town. So selling wheelchairs and walking aids and things to wipe your bum with. But for me, the real path to where I am now as a health professional happened when I was in my early 20s. I was at university studying information technology, and I started getting really unwell. And I started losing a lot of weight, ended up on medications, accumulated lots of medical acronyms after my name, and didn't realize that I'd been living a very stressful life as a high achiever. I ended up with a medical condition and then another medical condition, and then I've accumulated all these medical conditions. And I spent most of 2020 completely immobile, not able to walk, using gear to help me walk. And I had a lot of trauma in my life. My first husband took his own life. I had some domestic violence by a family member. I was sexually assaulted. I had a brain tumor, a hole in my heart. So I had all these things going on, and I'm running a business at the same time. And I think for me, the catalyst was that because I've always been programmed to keep going and just keep putting one foot in front of the other, some of us are like that, getting unstuck from all of those crappy events in my life and continuing to move forward. I didn't realize that most people wouldn't do that. So I unpacked my process and how I went from stuck to unstoppable and turned it into a replicatable system that I can now coach people in. And, I continue to battle ongoing health challenges. I've done some pretty radical things for my own health, but fitness and health really found me, Nick. If I had continued to lead the life that I was living before with lots of stress and, all of the things that were happening in my life and the way that I ate and didn't really look after myself, I certainly wouldn't be here having a conversation with you.
Yep, exactly. And, I know some of what you're talking about with, taking care of your health. My whole life, it was eating junk food, not exercising, and it takes a toll. And over the last about 2 years now, I've really focused on my health. And man, I feel so great now. compared to how I felt before. Like, it's like everybody needs to just take care of their health. Like, come on.
Right.
Like, it's like I have more energy. I do have cerebral palsy, and because of that, I would fall down at least every other day. At least a few times a week. I would fall, and I can't remember the last time that I fell, and that's because my body is performing like it should. I'm
Yeah.
getting rid of the toxins in my body. I'm putting in less toxins with my food because I changed my diet. I'm not perfect though. I do still eat some junk food, but it's a lot better than what it was. So
Yeah.
we're working
Well
on it.
done. Well done.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
it's a testament to show. And I love that you've shared that, Nick, because having worked in the space of mobility and disability equipment, a lot of the people
Yeah.
that I actually work with in my health business are people who may have a disability or have some injury. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a client at the moment. He also has cerebral palsy. I've known him for 20
Oh, really?
years. Yeah, I have a few clients with with different types of challenges.
Yep.
And for him, we put some really simple eating strategies in place. So he's in a wheelchair, and he just assumed that being a wheelie for so long, he goes, "Oh, I'm just gonna get fat." And he literally, we put some methods in place, and I re-educated him how to eat. He lost 11 centimeters in 8
Wow.
weeks, and he just said to me, "I can't believe how much better I feel. I have more energy." And he cried. I remember him crying at our first check-in because he'd never
Yep.
felt like he'd been able to achieve that. And now in the gym, I've been training him in the gym as well. He's got so much more strength. This guy pulls
Yep.
nearly the whole stack of weights now.
Really?
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
great. It's just the smallest things can make the biggest difference. And in our
Yep.
business, in our life, with our friends and our family and our long-term health outcomes, I think the challenge is, though, Nick, is that it becomes very confusing. I don't know what it's like, in other parts of the world, but in Australia where I am, there's so much information about what we should do, and it becomes very confusing and overwhelming. And then people, they try and make good decisions, but end up not really knowing what decisions to make. And then, they're not getting any better.
Yeah. And I feel like the word should just be like eliminated. Like, how about we do the research and figure out what we need to do, not what we should do, because
Yeah.
some of the stuff, here I go, I'm gonna use it. It shouldn't be an option, but it is, So yeah, you see it all the time. People
Yeah.
saying what you should do, and we're all different.
Shooting all
There's
over
no
themselves,
two.
I say. They shoot all over
Yeah.
themselves. They make a mess.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
right. But
Yeah.
I think if we reframe that word as what can I do? What
Yeah.
can I
Exactly.
do? What do I get to do? What choices do I get to make? And if we reframe that, just that small little change of language, it can make an impactful difference. And I think, for you and I, getting ourselves unstuck by just learning to make those very small conscious decisions in our lives can have,
Yep.
Simplify to amplify is what I say. And it can have a really big, profound shift if you do enough little things all stacked together. All of a sudden you feel great, and nothing tastes as good as healthy feels.
Yep, exactly. I love that. I'm gonna use that. That's awesome. And going off what you said, that kind of goes along with like how I live my life. I live my life with, I don't say I can't. I turn that around and I ask myself, how can I? And that just
Great.
opens the world up to so many possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's simple, hey, right? If we learnt this in school, just that simple shift of language, imagine how incredible people would feel in the world and all of the problems that we'd solve. But I think we've all almost normalized that things are hard and things are uncertain and things are painful, and people spend their whole lives running from hard work, uncertainty, and pain. When I think if you embrace those three things, Phil Stutz, he's an amazing psychotherapist in the States. He talks about this, And if we just embrace hard work, uncertainty, and pain as part of our everyday life and move through that, life can be
Yep.
amazing.
Oh yeah. It can. Yep. I
Infinite,
agree
in fact.
100%. Yeah.
Infinite.
Infinite. I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. So, when you're working with your clients, like, what are the top 3 things that you like to teach or, help them with?
That is such a great question because every single person is different. The way that I look at getting unstuck, and this is the big thing for most people, is that when people are in a crisis, they're in a situation that can either change the course of their life or they can continue to perpetuate and continue down the same route. When they hit this critical point, normally what they do is some irrational thing. They go and do like Tony Robbins, or they walk on hot coals and they rah, or they do a 12-week challenge, or go on a crash diet, or read heaps of books and download the apps. And the thing is, when the map is complex and it's pointing in all directions at once, we kind of take this as a good thing. And information does not equal transformation. We accumulate a lot of stuff, but people fail to sort of put it into action, or they put it into action for a small period of time and then it kind of all fizzles out. So one of the biggest things that I educate people on is that it isn't actually that hard to change your life if we focus on the 5 things that you're doing every day. Forget all of the big professional development things and the expensive workshops and the retreats and the gadgets and the gizmos. Your eating, your breathing, your sleep, your movement, and your hydration. They're 5 habits that we all have, which is easy. I call them handbrake habits because they act as handbrakes on our lives. And most of us are driving around with the handbrakes on, and we're moving but barely, and we're surviving instead of thriving, existing, not even living, So the first thing is to identify out of those 5 habits, either pick one of these things, which is the lowest hanging fruit, which is the one that you can easily make a shift on today, or which is the one that's going to give you the biggest needle shifter. Now, normally, Nick, those are not the same 2 things. So a lot of people, they will go to a gym before they start to look at what they eat and put in their mouth, right? And the problem is you cannot out-exercise a suboptimal diet. So the first thing I get them to do is realize, A, are they doing some irrational thing right now to try and get themselves unstuck? B, of the 5 things that they're doing already in their lives, which of them are they prepared to do? Is it the lowest hanging fruit or the biggest needle shifter? And C, why have they failed in the past? What have they tried to do before that hasn't worked for them? Because that gives us an indication of which one and which way to go, which one to start with and which way to go. I find that people have patterns of behavior, and you would know this as a coach, right? People perpetuate these patterns. And so if people have tried things in the past that have continuously not worked, how can we look at the positives of those things and transfer that skill set to where they want to move through in the future? Getting unstuck, well, right? So it's not that hard, but getting unstuck, most people try and jump from stuck to unstoppable in one fell swoop, and they wonder why they wonder why they give up. They wonder why they feel like miserable failures. The step that they miss is to get unstuck first, and getting unstuck is far more simple than people give it credit to. We don't need to go and do these elaborate daily routines where we have to get up at 3 o'clock and ruck with a 10K pack on our back and do affirmations and ice baths and saunas and handstand push-ups and all of these outrageous things. And I think the social media has really perpetuated this idea that you have to have these complex routines in order to be successful. And I call BS on that. Absolute BS. So the reality is it doesn't have to be hard. It has to be so simple that we would feel silly not making those changes. And when you make it so simple that you literally can't fail, getting unstuck is so much more achievable, manageable, and sustainable than you ever realized.
Yeah. Wow. Your take on getting unstuck it's simple. It's something that I've never heard. I've been, I've been a coach for over a year now, and I've followed all the gurus and everything, and I love your take on it, and especially like your take on, let's look at what didn't work in the past, but take the good things from that and apply it now. And
Yeah.
that goes along with, taking your past failures and learning from them. This
Yeah.
kind of the same thing. So
It
yeah,
is.
I love that. That's amazing.
I always say use your failure as feedback and reframe
Mm-hmm.
failure as failing forward. So when we
Yep.
reframe failure as feedback and use it to fail forward, it means
Mm-hmm.
that every opportunity presents a silver lining. Every
Mm-hmm.
single one. I can tell you wholeheartedly that my husband's suicide was one of the best things that ever happened. And that is a big thing to say, right? But
Yep.
sometimes you have to choose to put those glasses on and
Mm-hmm.
squint for the silver lining, Nick. It's there
Yep.
every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that every opportunity in our life presents us with a chance to reassess our future,
Mm-hmm.
reclaim our past, and rewrite the course of our lives, because everything happens for us, not to us. And
Yep.
if we looked at things like that every single day, everything becomes a blessing and we start to cultivate a gratitude attitude. And I look at how I used
Mm-hmm.
to be. I used to be so negative and cynical and
Same.
miserable and right. And
Mm-hmm.
I was almost addicted to this metric of success. I had the cars and the house and the money and the business and the husband and the handbags and all of the things that
Mm-hmm.
on the outside extrinsically made me look and feel successful by association and tokenism. I look at the life I
Yep.
have now. I've remarried. I have an amazing husband. He's 15 years my senior. He looks my age. And,
Mm-hmm.
I look at the life I get to live and the people I get to serve and the choices
Mm-hmm.
I get to make. And there's no
Mm-hmm.
shoulds. It's just
Yep.
action, right? And
Yep.
if more people did what we did, the world would be
Mm-hmm.
different. But unfortunately, like it takes people to make those decisions to lead through conscious connection and inspired action. And that's great. I mean,
Yep.
why not? Why not be that
Mm-hmm.
person that gets to lead through inspired action every day?
Yep. That's what we're doing. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I love it because it's just take massive actions every day and
Yeah.
just keep challenging yourself, keep growing, and just keep becoming better and helping more people. That's what this is all about.
100%, Nick. And it's such a wonderful feeling when you've made an impact, and you don't have to make an impact on thousands of people all the time every day. It can just
Mm-hmm.
be, one person and watching them grow. Like I have another client. He also has cerebral palsy and he's deaf. And when he started working with me 2 years ago, so he was only 16, he
Mm-hmm.
had 2 ankle foot orthoses. He wasn't independently mobile. He needed help to
Yep.
come in. He now leg presses 100 kilograms,
Wow.
right?
That's incredible. Yeah.
Right? And it's just seeing that transformation over a period of time. He doesn't even acknowledge it. I mean, he doesn't care. But,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've got other clients that have, I guess, less tangible results where, they come to me and they're in a crisis. They might have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or something, and they're
Mm-hmm.
very busy, successful entrepreneurs. They might be COOs of some companies. But when we
Yep.
start to break it down on a daily level to the actions that they can take immediately, and then they can continue to take every day until they
Mm-hmm.
become a habit, and then we add more actions over a period of 12 weeks, you reflect on that person's journey and their energy is better. They're not grumpy. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
I've got a client whose type 2 diabetes is almost reversed. There's a lot of
Wow.
intangible things where subjectively they feel so amazing because they've got all the success, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we become welded to these ideas of what success feels like in our lives in this sort of Western paradigm that we live in. And I think
Yep.
so many people are dying young of chronic comorbidities. In Australia, 9 out of 10 deaths are associated with chronic disease. I mean, that's shocking,
Wow.
right? So, and
Wow.
stress is,
Yep.
it's crazy, right? Stress is on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Productivity is paramount in all of our economic cultures. And so when we're driven by these external ideas of what we're supposed to be doing, but forfeiting the stuff that we do every day in order to try and satisfy the quota, you wonder why our health systems are completely under strain. I mean, it's no wonder that we're falling apart at the seams. It's if more people took more time just to make little tiny changes, just to eat a little bit better, breathe a bit more deeply, sleep longer, move mindly, and hydrate adequately, you know, we'd all be in a much better position to continue to evolve our humanity. But anyway,
I agree. You're so spot on with that. So, what is your company called?
So my business is called Loz Life. I like to joke. So my name is actually Lauren, but when my husband died, I started calling myself Loz, and I call myself Loz because it stands for lots of zest.
I like that. That's awesome.
So Loz Life is my organization, and under Loz Life, I have 3 different pathways on how to get people unstuck. So I have a pathway called weight loss. So weight loss is primarily designed to help people, you know, change their eating habits through education and accountability. And the reason I called it weight loss is that, you know, in the end, what I'm teaching people is habits and education, but people aren't Googling, how do I make better eating decisions to feel good? They're Googling, how do I lose 20 kilos in 3 days?
Yep.
Right. So I call it weight loss. Right. Yep. And then I've got Fabulous, which is my next pathway. So I've got weight loss, Fabulous, and Fabulous primarily looks at helping people to cultivate better mental and physical fitness. Mental fitness is huge. We look at things like sleep. We look at, you know, tracking the way that they move, and all movement matters, and integrating various types of movement into the day. We do also give nutritional programming and advice as well, but the focus is more on movement. And then I have Boss Laws, which is my high-end pathway for entrepreneurs and high achievers, also teams. And at that level, most people, they do really struggle with time management. And so the first thing we've got to do is help them find the time by freeing up things, automating, eliminating, delegating, duplicating a lot of the tasks in their day so that they now have the time and structure to be able to focus on self-care. So it's a little bit more of an executive coaching type of thing, but I have coaches at different levels as well. So my business is a little bit complicated, but that's what Loz Life looks like. And then then you have Loz as a person who speaks and writes books and, you know, does podcasts and things like that. So it's kind of everywhere, Nick.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's always good to have, you know, the different levels that you can help people in. You know, it's you look at any great entrepreneur, and they don't just do one thing; they do a lot of different things. So I really respect that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And then, how can people reach out to you?
Well, you can find me on the internet by typing in my name. And a lot of people don't know how to say my name, but it's Loz Antonenko. If you read it and you say it, you'll get it right. If you overthink it, you're going to stuff it up. Right. But if you look up Loz Life, I do have, like, I'm on social media. Instagram is a big platform for me. I'm building up LinkedIn. But if you look up my name or my business, Loz Life or Loz Antonenko, you'll find things smattered all around the internet.
Awesome. So awesome. And then, so my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
Everybody has the capacity for greatness, Nick, even if they don't know it yet. But we have to simplify, to amplify, to move from stuck to unstoppable. You are so much bigger than your body gives you credit for. That is a John Mayer quote. And if people just learn to listen to the signs and symptoms that their body gives them, they will find the infinite capacity inside them to achieve their wildest desires.
Amazing. Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And thank you for being on the show. This was really, really great.
Oh, I really appreciate it. It's so great to chat to people on all sides of the world.
Yeah, and, you know, your energy is absolutely incredible. You know, before this call, I was getting tired. And now I'm like, all right, I got a couple more hours left in me. Let's go. So thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm
So,
glad I had an impact on you, Nick.
oh yeah, you're so awesome.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me here, the Nick Heart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.